Thanks so much for joining us on the telecast. Now, the United States Supreme Court has issued an emergency order allowing the Trump administration to temporarily withhold billions in funding for the food aid program used by millions of low-income Americans, and the move comes after a lower court ordered full payment of Supplementary Nutrition Assistance Program, which is also called SNAP, also known as food stamp benefits, which assist around 42 million people each month. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson issued the order and freezing the lower court's ruling for 2 days while the administration pursues an appeal. The program has been disrupted by the ongoing federal government shutdown, with some states covering payments from their own reserves. The row over SNAP funding is part of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, affecting millions of Americans and government workers. Now, joining me on the telecast is Mithali. She is an economist. Mithali, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast. Now, what we are getting to know is the U.S. Supreme Court has allowed Trump admin to avoid fully funding SNAP payments for now. What do you think would the implications be of this?
So, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the broadcast. I think this is another sort of development in a whole series of developments that we've seen that are taking place in the US, which are increasingly allowing the government to step back from social security. So essentially, SNAP benefits basically mean that some of the poorest people in the US can access food aid. Now, when the US government was shut down recently, it's been almost 30 days. So it's actually not very recent, but it has been almost a month. In this time, it means that the US government is unable to make payments, unable to provide the funding to keep the food aid going. Now, it has some amount of emergency funding, and therefore in that emergency funding it was able to keep functioning for the last month. But now, with the shortfall and with the fact that the US government has been shut down, the food aid has totally stalled. Think about a parallel scenario in India. I mean, in India, we provide food aid to 800 million people, right, on a daily basis. There are centers that are functioning and kirana stores that are functioning across this country. Imagine if the government shut down. The food aid for millions of people would shut down. The similar scenario is being seen in the US.
All right, Mithali, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast.